Hey everyone. Thank you for coming. We are gonna, I know it's 4 o'clock on the dot, so I just want to make sure that everyone has time to join. I see people rolling in, so we will probably get started around 4:03. But thank you again for coming. If you do have questions that you want Mitch to um, discuss or go over when we get to the question answer part and you have them on mind, please add them in the question um, area that's gonna should be at the bottom. So we really appreciate you coming. Add your questions, please. Yes, someone did already ask me. This will be recorded, and we will make sure it gets to your team so they can see it later. I like these questions, everyone. Thank you. John, I saw your question. Um, you're not the first person to ask that, so we'll talk about that. Hey, everyone, for those of you that are just joining, we will be starting in a couple minutes. But we just want to give everyone time to get in here. It's 4:03 now, so I would say we start in a minute or two. Thanks again for coming, and please add your questions. Lots of questions in there, Mitch.
Can't wait. All right, Marie, should we get started? Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks again, you guys, for coming and joining us. Happy New Year to everyone. Um, we really appreciate taking the time to come and we appreciate you adding your questions. So we're going to try to get to all of them and make sure that we add, a nice chunk of time at the end to address them all. But before we get to the question answer, Mitch is going to go through everything we've gone over in the past quarter and what's coming up and IBS and everything AI.
Awesome. Well, look, it's great to see everyone. Appreciate you guys all making time out of your busy schedules to chat with us, to engage with us, to ask questions with us. Um, if you hear my voice is a little bit raspy, it is cold and flu season, and with a 6 month old, that feels like every single day in the household. Uh, but for those of you that don't know me, just a quick reintroduction. My name is Mitchell Castleman. I am the CEO and co-founder of Resio. I will share my screen here, and I will introduce my co-founder as well, Ryan, who cannot be on the conversation today. So Ryan and I started Resio back in 2022 and have quickly grown Resio to be the company that you see it today. And so, where Resio was born, right, was out of Ryan's challenging remodel project on one of our competitive softwares out in the industry that maybe didn't go as well as anyone had liked in terms of process and outcome. Having said that, the before and after pictures are very nice. And my background, really quick, is in contractors, previously working in the facility management software space before starting Resio, for those of you that don't know, and spending a lot of time in this industry at large. So, anyways, in terms of where we're at by the numbers, this is actually as of December 31st, 2025, not September 30th, but Resio is rapidly approaching $5 billion in construction projects on the platform. So we're north of four, we're getting close to five. Folks are, things are moving pretty quickly. We've got almost 5,000 homeowners that have been invited and interacted with our platform. And in the last 30 days, almost 5,000 active users with a total of 36,000 hours spent on the platform by active users. So, if you're one of our users and you're on this conversation, give yourself a pat in the back. We appreciate the time that you've spent on Resio and the value that you've gotten from your business. And we are excited to share this continuous growth journey with you, with our next North Star being beyond 5 billion, $10 billion in construction projects that have flown through Resio. We were also recently named a category leader by several companies as they wrapped up their reviews or wrapped up their evaluation at the end of 2025. So we were named to the Capterra shortlist for top construction management software companies. We were on Software Advice's frontrunners list, GitApp category leaders, and then also received Capterra's Best Ease of Use Award. This is, in part to the feedback that you are all providing because we have built this application based off of your input. So you just being here today in this webinar, in this conversation, just affirms the values that we've instilled here as a company in terms of being customer focused and listening to your feedback and hopefully delivering results like you're seeing here, year in, year out. Now, I'm sure you're all interested in the product front. We've had a lot of previous emails, newsletters, call out rapid changes to the product. I think first and foremost, let me note that we, as of last time in October of 2025, we're on a bi-weekly release cycle. Now we're on a weekly release cycle. If anything, we are releasing more frequently than weekly. That means more features, more updates, more changes coming to you. And when we talk about the value of AI, it's not just what goes into Resio's product, but it's what's happening behind the scenes. And what you're not seeing on a day-to-day basis is the efficiency and the productivity of our engineering team getting faster and faster and faster with more AI tooling that is harnessing our production model. So just like you guys are always trying to build at a higher quality at a faster rate for your customers, we're trying to do the same for you. And so before I get into any product features and functionality, I'll just call out that the track and the development of the team is getting faster and the velocity is going to be faster and faster as time goes on, which is the exact opposite of what you've probably seen historically with companies like Buildertrend. As they've gotten bigger and more bloated in their code base, things have gotten slower. We're excited to be part of the advantage of Resio is the modern technology, the modern code base that we have. and that allows us to be much more nimble, flexible, and listen to your feedback and implement it. Now, lots of emails came out. You probably saw it coming from Marie and other members of our team over the last quarter. I will hit on a few of the highlights of the new features that were released. You will see them over here on the top left, and then I will actually call out a couple of changes in the application today. So, new features released in the last quarter that includes the Company Cam integration, where you can integrate files directly from Company Cam. You can see that picture over here on the top right-hand side. There's a Company Cam logo if you are setting up your Company Cam integration in your settings. That should appear anytime you go to insert files. Checklists, you have the ability to do subtasks on to-dos and schedule tasks. We had an updated design for files, which should appear more like folders. Plan Hub, we added a QR code for on-site scanning. So let's say you're on a job site and you want your users to have access to the latest plan set. You can post a QR code, they can scan it and go right there with or without necessary a login to Rezio. Messages, we released an updated general message inbox with the ability to move messages as well from thread to thread. These two I'll go into detail in an actual demo, but we added the ability to schedule by the hour, not just by the day. So for those managing in-house teams, maintenance folks, looking to go on multiple job sites across a certain day, those looking at client meetings, trying to get them down by the hour versus as a single day event, we have added that additional precision here, as well as the ability to connect your Rezio schedule with your Google Calendar, your Outlook, or your iCalendar. We're also giving you more flexibility in terms of your budget and how the homeowner sees it. So you can show them one column, you can show them 12 columns, you can show them all columns, but you have full control over the homeowner portal column views. You can also add company-wide holidays across all of your schedules. We can just recently release the ability to mass assign schedule tasks. And then you've probably noticed today we have refreshed what we call our contractor portal with an updated design and more mobile functionality. I'll show you that in a minute. And finally, additional QBO flexibility with more toggles and controls in your settings over introducing non-billable expenses or time entries into your budgets. In the next week, you can also expect further deliveries. The first one I'm super excited about, universal search. So this will allow you to extract information from anywhere, including your files. And so from a files perspective, files contain a lot of metadata, a lot of text. And one of the things that we want to do in terms of our foundation is leverage AI to extract information from those files so it can be valuable to you as a user. So for example, maybe there's a specification with an installation instruction attached in a PDF. Well, with Rezio's new search function, we'll be able to actually search not just in the description that you provided on that cost item, but also in the file itself and all of the text within that file. The reason we are doing this is it because it creates the foundation as well for future actions to come from text extraction, such as a receipt capture function, such as a ability to extract selections from a PDF and turn them into cost items, the ability to extract purchase orders and put them into our purchase order function. Whatever it may be, we can now translate data and put it into defined snippets of information, and we can use those across our application. So this is not just a search function, but it is the foundation for future AI data extraction from files. We're also going to introduce more invoice flexibility, which allows you to combine invoice types and add more information, such as a balance summary to the bottom of your invoice. And then I know I have a couple of users that have been waiting this for a long time, but we are about to introduce a Craftsman cost book integration as well. So you'll have access to the Craftsman cost book, which will allow you to insert local zip code based unit pricing into your estimates. So if you're looking to, install drywall and you want to understand what's the estimated local price of drywall, as well as the associated labor, you can pull that information from your Craftsman cost book into your Rezio estimates. So a couple of big things coming in the next week here. So one note, as has been appropriately called out to me, with universal search, given the amount of information that we will be searching, this will be a phased rollout. So certain customers will get access right away. If you are interested in that early access, please reply in the chat. Then we will probably phase roll out every couple of days, adding more and more customers over time to make sure we are doing this safely for everyone involved. Awesome. I know I just went through a lot, and there will be time for questions. But let me just pull up, for example, a preview that we can just take a look at a couple of these things in action. So right now, I'm working on Michael Jordan's Pool House. Marie, can you give me a thumbs up that you see Michael Jordan's Pool House? Okay, cool. Um, I've got a couple of hourly events scheduled. I got one-on-one with MJ, and then afterwards we're going to need to do some maintenance. That's not only physically but also on the house. And within this calendar, I have a month, week, day view. Right now on the week view, I could also go to a day view and see a single day. So I just want to focus on, hey, here's what I'm going to do today over an hourly basis. I can see a week-to-week view or a monthly view, which is what I could previously see within Rezio. So now we have the ability to add these hourly tasks, edit these hourly tasks if I pull up my editor here. And then let's say I want to push this information into Google Calendar with a link. So what I'm going to do to the top right is click subscribe. It will filter this down to either all events, all day events, or just the hourly events, depending on my preferences. I can also filter to only tasks assigned for me. And what this will do is generate a ICS link that you can embed in your Google Calendar application. And once this is embedded in Google Calendar, anytime Rezio updates, that Google Calendar link or that iCal link or that Outlook link will update as well with the associated Rezio schedule information. Updates are a little bit different depending on which platform you're using for calendars. Faster for iCal and Google, a little bit slower for Outlook, slower being a couple of hours. That's due to Outlook. It's nothing on the Rezio side, and it's just the system that we have to work with. But this should give you that visibility if you are maintaining a personal schedule and you do like to use those platforms in addition to Rezio. You'll also notice a bit of a different look and feel for Rezio in terms of color scheme over on the left-hand side. The logo is pinned here up higher. Those are real minor changes. If you like them, give us a thumbs up in the chat. If you don't like them, let us know. Hey, we're always here for feedback. But what I can tell you, the bigger purpose of this change is to overall make the platform a little bit snappier and faster. But two, underneath it, if I shrink this down and go into mobile, we will see that there's more mobile functionality available than previous. So now I have an approvals page on my mobile device where I can see all of my approvals. I can also interact across my changelog, across my invoices. These were things that were previously restricted to desktop only, and now they're available on your mobile devices as well. So this gives a more robust mobile functionality in addition to what we have on the desktop screen. In the top right, you'll see your support, you'll see your activity. You'll also see an Ask Mason button as well. Last time we did talk, we went through a couple of Mason examples. We'll continue to follow up with those, whether in the community forum or directly to you, depending on your needs and use cases through your customer success coach. But know that that's available here in your mobile device, in addition to the extra features that we listed here. So all that being said, right, the experience that you should see right now in mobile should be more robust than what you've seen previously. And then the experience on the desktop side should be a little bit snappier and with a slightly updated design based on what we've done before. Awesome. So now to get into the part that you probably came here for, what's next? I'm sure everyone's curious, right? You're always trying to keep up in terms of, hey, what's going on with Rezio and what features are coming shortly. I know you all have feedback that you're tracking as well. I think the big one that I'll start with is reporting. I think a lot of you, and included in the questions, have called out reporting. How can I, as an owner, see how my team is using that platform? How can I, as an owner, track my work in progress? How can I see my financial performance? How can I analyze my spend by cost code across jobs? How can I analyze how much I'm spending per vendor? How can I look at estimated versus actual hours in terms of time on a particular job? All things that will be included in this reporting tool. And so with our first release of the reporting tool, we'll have about 25 to 30 pre-baked reports based on input from all of you. And so we've listened, we've asked for suggestions, and we've made as many of those pre-baked reports as we possibly can. Now, having said that, we're going to be quickly iterating on this feature and adding more ability to add more reports, to customize reports down the line. But that first initial release will have a bunch of pre-canned reports that will be useful based on your input, both today and in previous conversations. So take a look at this list over on the right-hand side. I hit on a couple of them in my talk track here. If you have any additional suggestions or requests, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll take a look and see if we can include them. But this is really just the beginning of our reporting functionality. And the idea here, coming back to the problem statement, right, is that we can empower you all to have the data to assess your team, to assess your financials, to assess your schedules, to look at your data across jobs in a single place, not necessarily just on an individual job. And we know how that important that is to your success. Other features coming pre-IBS. So this first set of list is things that we're trying to release ahead of the International Builder Show. For those that don't know, that is February 17th through 19th in Orlando. We'll talk about the event that we're having in a minute. And then post-IBS, there's a couple of other things that we expect to come down the pike. So templates will introduce a new approval document library, receipt capture, that builds upon the ability to extract information from files. So naturally connecting the universal search release into receipt capture, the universal search allows us as a prerequisite to have a strong function to do the receipt capture and extract data from those receipts directly into bills and your budget. Estimates the ability to create multiple proposals and then reinstill the old proposal. So for example, if I want to present proposal 1, which is a kitchen, and proposal 2, which is a kitchen and a bath, to a client, and kitchen 1 gets chosen, if proposal 1 was created first, we will update that estimate to match proposal 1. Selection, we'll have an updated insert process from cost catalog or templates. And then one that's been very popular and highly requested, the foundations of an integration with Adaptive. We highly recommend Adaptive as a partner. They've been terrific. And we are going to actually co-host our happy hour with them at the International Builder Show. But we're starting our Adaptive integration with reference data. So we'll be able to connect cost codes, vendors, jobs across both tools. And then we will also connect purchase orders, starting with pushing purchase orders from Rezio into Adaptive. So naturally, my workflow might go something like creating a purchase order from the estimate in Rezio, pushing that purchase order into Adaptive, connecting and processing the bill to the purchase order in Adaptive, and then pulling that bill back into Rezio through QuickBooks. That's an example of what a simple workflow could look like. There will be more here. This is just the beginning. So we'll expand into budget integration, change orders, and future connections down the line to sync up between the two systems. We're also looking to add a Zapier integration, which will give us an open API to connect it to different CRMs. A couple of folks have requested HubSpot, Pipedrive in particular. We'll have the ability to push and pull attachments to and from QBO. And so that will allow you to include an attachment in a bill in QBO and see that appear in Rezio, or vice versa, include that attachment in Rezio and push that into QBO. There will also be continuous updates going on bids, dashboards, time, purchase orders, invoice, etc. And so we'll try to keep you appraised of everything that is coming, but we're constantly tweaking, changing, listening to your feedback, and know that there's a lot of probably smaller changes that don't necessarily appear in all of our release notes, but that are quality of life improvements that should continue to trickle out here and there. Post IBS, we also expect releases around takeoffs. I know this one is something that we will probably not rush to deliver, given the high quality that we want of any takeoff solution and the thoughtfulness in our approach, whether it be integrating or white labeling with a partner or building our own. But it is a focus for us right now here in 2026 and is something that we are actively working on. Warranty, we will dive deeper into the warranty function, allowing homeowners to create warranty tickets directly in Rezio. File annotations, expect the ability to mark up a photo or a PDF document in our application versus on your phone in your native software or native applications. And then finally, offline mode, the ability to work on Rezio in low service areas, in particular, viewing specifications, clocking in, clocking out, submitting daily logs. I think we've heard this request from many of you. And we expect this to be a pretty big area of focus and something we want to release before the end of the quarter here. So a lot coming, a lot done. And you can see when I talk about AI on behind the scenes impacting our velocity, in that we expect to deliver features at a very rapid rate here in 2026. Now, in terms of product that includes AI, we are working on some demoable functions that we'll have ready at IBS. Uh, Notably, what will I'll kind of remind you from the last conversation we had back in October. When we think about agents, right? When we think about AI, we are trying to build things that automate the work that you find mundane, annoying, repetitive. And so we are looking to build agentic AI or workflows that match what you guys are doing and eliminate the second, third, fourth order actions that may be mundane, repetitive, boring. So a good example of this may be, let's say I have a daily log and that daily log has a bunch of information that could be useful in other parts of the platform and tells me the actions that I should be taking in terms of to dos, updating the schedule, sending a message. We want to, based on that information, recommend actions for you to take and then allow you to just click accept or edit or dismiss in terms of the next action that you would take. So, from a daily log, if I needed to create a to-do list, Rezio would be scanning your daily log, creating that to-do list for you, and then all you would have to do is confirm rather than actually go do that work. And we think this is applicable not just in this individual use case, but across all parts of the application, whether it be estimating, schedules, purchase orders, bids, selections. There's so many interconnected workflows that we've seen from your user behavior, and there's so many opportunities for us to make these faster. And so that's just where we're starting in terms of how we're thinking about AI and automating a lot of the work that you're doing today. Excuse me. So beyond this, one of the questions that I saw came in prior to the conversation is Rezio going to be working on a tool using AI to build estimates? That is something that is in the works right now. We are looking at building something where you could take a small snippet of information, a description, a set of parameters, a plan set, and turn that into a full-fledged estimate. That is in the early stages, and we'll have more to share closer to IBS. So, speaking of IBS, just a quick reminder, we will be there in booth 8023. We will have cookies on Tuesday and a beer keg on Wednesday if I can incentivize you to come to the booth if you're not already planning on it. That will be a hot cookie oven. So if you're looking for some nice snack during Tuesday afternoon, or if Wednesday you're just done with people and you need a break, we will have a keg. So come have a drink with us. And then in the middle, we will be co-hosting a happy hour with Adaptive Tuesday, February 17th at 5 p.m. Eastern. This is at Hampton Social. Hampton Social is about a 20-minute walk directly from our booth. We picked this intentionally. We don't want you guys to have to go far. So let's say you're finishing up your day, you're ready to blow off some steam. Come join us. Come join the Adaptive team. We'll have drinks, food. You'll have probably people potentially if you're in that Rezio community and others that are using our platform. So we hope to see you there if you are attending the International Builder Show in Orlando this year. And as a reminder, and I would be a bad steward of this if I didn't remind folks, don't forget to join the community forum if you're not there already. Expect Marie here to be posting some more and asking more input from you guys on a number of things, whether it's what topic we do in a webinar or what we should do next here at Rezio. And so we have a community link here that we can sign up, but we can make sure to share this afterwards or in the chat so that you guys can see it if you're not already signed up. And then once you're signed up, you can log in directly from Rezio and go to your profile and directly to the community forum page. Though, as I'm showing the screen, I realize this page has probably changed. So we'll make sure we'll get you an updated set of instructions so that you can go directly from Rezio into your community forum. Awesome. Well, let me pause here and I want to open up to Q&A. We've got some preset questions that folks have submitted. Marie, if you don't mind, I'll start there and then I'll open it up to you to facilitate. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds perfect. And just to add really quick, I didn't introduce myself, so people are like, "Who's this?" I'm Marie Darling. I'm the Director of Community and Learning. So you'll see me on Community Forum a lot, and the release notes. So if you guys want to reach out to me individually, you're more than welcome to if you have ideas or thoughts. So I'm always open to hearing about it.
Awesome. Um, so, all right, let me start with a couple of questions that were pre-submitted. Um, are we ever going to be able to take a few pictures and have Rezio build an estimate for us? Um, you know, maybe not necessarily just based off a couple of pictures, but that is something that aligns with what we're doing on the estimating front and thinking about building an estimate from a limited set of inputs to save you guys a bunch of time. Uh, is Mason eventually going to read drawings, receipts, and handwritten forms? This is the receipt capture function that we are looking to add to our budgets. Expect that closer to IBS to be released. Do you know any builders that are using Mason effectively currently, and how are they using it? I think some of this we discussed last time, and we can kind of share back some of the video playback because this did come up in our previous conversation as well. When we think about how folks are using Mason today, it's really two pronged. Number one, they're looking to extract information. So they're trying to search for a message. They're trying to understand, hey, how much do I have left in this budget item? They're trying to see which open to dos they have on a particular project. And so they're looking to get quick information at their fingertips. The second thing that they're doing is, stringing together workflows. So, for example, one of the things I shared last time that we saw from a user was they had Mason pretend to be a 20-year custom home builder and generate a scope of work and then turn that scope of work into a to-do list. And so Mason is backed by, ChatGPT or any associated LLM that you want to interchange, such as Gemini, Claude, Llama. And so what you're going to see within Mason is a lot of the abilities or the functions that you would expect within a ChatGPT, just targeted towards your Resio data. So in that case that I described, what you would see is, hey, I'd go ask Mason, hey, you're a 20-year custom home builder. Please go build a scope of work for framing. And Mason would generate one based on the information that has been provided. And then taking that information, I could tell Mason, go take a action, create a to-do list based on what you see here. And then Mason would go and actually do that. In terms of actions we see folks doing, it's typically very targeted towards creating to-dos, sending messages, things that are more straightforward. As we continue to expand Mason over time, we expect the actions to be part of that sort of recommendation engine that we were talking about earlier, where we will actually recommend proactively what actions you should be taking versus you having to go prompt Mason and ask a question. Um, Other questions beyond AI around product leads. Are there any plans to allow Resio to import leads from social media interactions? That's a great question. I will be honest, and this is the first time I've heard this. And so this is why we have these conversations. It's something that we will bring back to our engineering team and talk about in our next product review session. Are there plans currently or in the future to refine permission settings or allow more granular permissions for portions of the project? For example, restricting access to client messaging threads. Uh, yes, we definitely plan to add more and more granular permissions over time. And the one thing I will say there is we are probably not going to throw the kitchen sink at you immediately. So we're not going to have every single feature toggle on and off tomorrow. But we are focused on the things that are most important to you. So, for example, restricting access to client message threads or locking and unlocking estimates. Those are areas that I could see near-term changes coming based on your inputs. Before I go to some general questions, Marie, talk to me about what's in the chat. Any questions that you want to bring out from chat
Yeah,
and call out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of great questions, and I keep seeing maybe discuss more about the reporting. Like a lot of people are asking about the report suite. What's that going to look like? Is there going to be a high level for admin? Where do you think you're going to start when it comes to reporting?
Yeah, so maybe to kind of play back one more time, the reporting will be, a concrete set of 25 to 30 reports that are pre-built based off of your data. And so I'm skimming through, for instance, um, trying to see if there's anything in the chat around additional reports. I see a mention of cost code spend analysis. That's a good example. So, what you'd expect to see here is think of it like a table for each report with filters, with the ability to download as an Excel file or a CSV, and the ability to, you know, sort the associated data within that table. As we continue to expand reporting over time, that's when we'll layer in more reports, more customization. So build your own. And then ultimately, my long term goal for reporting is for it to be like your Chat GPT, like your Claude interfaces, where you can go ask a question and we will build a report using AI for you. Now, that is my vision. That is not tomorrow. But the excitement that we have in our engineering team is that this will be coming sooner and faster than one would ever expect. So we're really excited about what the future looks like there.
Great. And then it's funny that someone put this in early in the discussion, but they were asking more about the integration with Adaptive. And they said, would love a nice, tighter integration with Rezio, giving that they're a partner now. How is that gonna be better? How's that gonna work?
Yeah, so I think with adaptive, right, we want to crawl, walk, run. I think the way folks are doing adaptive and Resio combined today, typically adaptive is running AP and things like lien waivers on vendors. With Resio, you're getting your client-facing budget in association with your project management tools. And so as we continue to expand this integration, I think the key for us is financial sync, right? So how can we make sure the financials and adaptive stay one to one with the financials in Resio and give a complete picture for the accountant as well as for the client, right? The accountant might live in adaptive and the client might live in Resio. And so a complete picture, starts with the reference data, starts with aligning jobs, cost codes, vendors. Then purchase order is the number one area of demand we've heard from our customers so far in terms of making sure that it's in both Resio and adaptive, which made sense for us to start there. And then we'd like to layer in change orders and budgets over time so that you get a complete financial picture that matches in both solutions.
Awesome. And then you also had on there Zapier. So there was a question in there as well, and a couple more comments about, you know, how's that going to look at a high level? Forms to include more information, captures such as budgets, timing, and then automation, with client. So there was a whole lot of comments below, but I like that you already had that on there and someone asked the same question as Zapier. So maybe elaborate.
Yeah, I think that the initial focus with Zapier is to make sure that folks can connect anything on the sales process into Resio. So that could be where you're tracking leads outside of Resio or information associated with those leads and inputting it into the Resio platform. Um, Beyond that, right, we'd love to expand that functionality so that you can make your own choices or make your own connections within Zapier, or we can have a customer success coach facilitate those for you. So the initial use case presides around sales, but as we continue to expand, there's going to be more and more over time. The exciting part of Zapier is that you can connect to thousands and thousands of apps. So, excuse me, expect that to be something that just doesn't start or doesn't stop with sales. It continues into other things.
Get a drink of water, Mitch.
Sorry about that. My voice is going to be tested after this.
So another one that I thought was interesting was organized line items in your purchase order. Are we going to have a feature to organize that, especially with the release coming out next week that not everyone knows about, but with
Uh, that's definitely good feedback. I think with purchase orders, just for those at large listening in, you can either create those from line items in your estimate, so you can rearrange them in your estimate and then insert them into a purchase order that way. That allows you to create and customize the order that you would see, and then within the purchase order itself, you can also add additional lines as you see fit. So there are ways to create a custom order within that purchase order. It's something that we can definitely look at in terms of dragging and dropping within the purchase order once it is created.
great. I'm trying to think. And then this was an interesting question. Any plans for an RFI module?
Definitely, something we are looking at actively. Having said that, what our clients have found from using Resio is that the RFI functionality in a builder trend or in other software that they've experienced overlaps about 90% plus with what we have in our to-dos. And so, we haven't had a ton of demand from folks clamoring for an RFI module because they've been able to accomplish the same goals via the to do function with a designated to do list called RFIs. So, yes, valuable question, valuable suggestion. I will say that within the application today, most folks are very successful in terms of managing those RFIs within the to do function and
Mhm.
haven't had a ton of, need for additional functionality beyond that.
Great. I have another question that I've had separately too, and just popped in. When will there be a native app, not just internet-based mobile access?
Yeah, I think with the native app, that comes with a big trade-off. So to be clear on the logic here around native apps versus web progressive web apps, which is what Resio is. Native apps basically create a second code base that you have to maintain and edit relative to your original code base. And so what I think about when I see a native app is okay, I have to maintain my Resio web based code, which is what you'd see on all your other devices. And we have to maintain that native device code, which is tied to, for example, your Apple with your Apple product or your Android product. And if you multiply the number of devices out there, you have an Android app store, you have an Apple App Store. Now we're maintaining three code bases. And so what that does is it slows down the velocity in which we can produce new mobile functions. And so there's a trade-off, right, between the ability for us to release more features and release changes quickly and the ability to have a native application. And so that's why at this time, native application is something we'll do down the line, but only when we're very confident that we can either maintain our mobile velocity in terms of new feature development, or that is less of a priority for us as a company. And so it's something like it could be a couple months from now, it could be a year from now. It's definitely something we will do. It's a question of when, not if. But from a standpoint of getting you the best experience and the most rapid updates, a native app is going to only sort of hold us back from accomplishing those goals. The other thing I'll say here on this topic is relative to a progressive web app and a native app, there's sort of very limited functionality difference nowadays between the two. I think the big one that we are going to give through a progressive web app is going to be offline functionality, allowing you to use it in low service areas. That's often thought of as a native app function. It's actually available in progressive web apps as well. And so that will close the gap between what someone would get with a native app versus a progressive web app at Resio.
That's a great answer. That actually kind of, and I think is a good. You answered it well when it comes to how do we as a company keep everything simple and easy to use, but at the same time constantly update our, update Resio.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when we think about the team that we've built and the way our process works, for those that don't know, our front end engineers, the ones that are building the screens that you see, all have design backgrounds. So they all understand the principles of design in terms of making things user friendly and as simple and as clean as possible. And then from a standpoint of your feedback and how we think about layering things into our application, we want to make sure that we don't become Builder Trend 2.0. We don't become a clutter of features or functions. We typically see that with our competitors, Builder Trend, Job Trend, everything for everyone. That's not who we want to be. we think about your feedback as to how can we create the clearest possible path from point A to point B in order to deliver the outcome that you're desiring. And so when I say that, right, we combine that with the design skills of the team. Our focus when we deliver new product is we can give you that targeted path to the answer with a user friendly experience versus just adding more functions, more buttons for the sake of adding more buttons and more functions that are going to make things clunkier and more confusing. And so that's why when I think about where Builder Trend is today and where Resio is and how do we continue to grow, it's important for us that we keep these principles in mind and think about them even as we're adding more depth to functionality or we're building new features, because that will prevent us from being something that requires 10 clicks to take one action.
Awesome. Will there be more options for mid-level project managers, like for instance, require approvals for setting change orders, invoices, approving POs? Someone else commented on that question as well.
I want to understand this one a little bit better,
Yeah, it's
but
at the
maybe
bottom.
okay, maybe to kind of play it back. My understanding is, hey, we want to basically have a limitation on uh, who can send a change order, who can send an invoice, or have it go through an approval process prior to sending said invoice. Um, that's absolutely great feedback and something that we can look at adding over time.
Yeah, and they added approved time clocks, like not just, admin. All right. Um, when will billing partial change orders be possible?
That's something that came up in a product discussion today. When we think about billing partial change orders, we recommend that someone invoice the change order, and then you can collect multiple payments through the Resio system or through QuickBooks, and both payments will be associated with that change order. If you do choose to bill part of that change order or invoice, excuse me, part of that change order, that's something that we'll add on as functionality over time. It's something that will probably come relatively near term, given it was in a product discussion today. Having said that, confident that the ability to deliver multiple payments against that invoice will help you solve that problem today.
Awesome. And then do you think there's any possibility of collaborating with any other bookkeeping software besides QuickBooks Online?
I think depends on the demand for it, like anything else. If there's a lot of users using another bookkeeping software, we will be there. And if there's not a lot of users using other bookkeeping software, we maybe won't be there. Today, we can, say about of our, active users, over 50% have connected to QuickBooks Online. And additionally, we expect that more and more and more will continue connecting to QuickBooks Online from QuickBooks Desktop. So, I would say that QuickBooks Online is still our priority today. And if there are others that start to increase in demand and usage, we will definitely be there.
I feel like you touched on this before, but I missed this one. How do are most contractors on the Resio platform handling takeoffs and getting that information into the budget? For instance, JobTread had an integrated takeoff tool that allows it to parameters from the takeoff to be, referenced in the budget.
Yeah, today folks are using a variety of different takeoff solutions and connecting that information into Resio manually. You can import a CSV that is an estimate generated from a takeoff tool. We did this with BuilderBid. So with BuilderBid, for example, you get an export. You can take that export and copy paste it directly into Resio. Or, they're manually inputting parameters at the top of the estimate and then using that in the estimate function. This is why we're definitely making an investment in takeoffs here in 2026, so that we can have a cleaner integration workflow.
Awesome. And this one's going back to the reporting. Will the reports allow you to drill down from the report, like click on an item and then bring up a deeper report?
I think that it's hard to answer that one without
Yeah.
context. Like I think, within a report, you have a lot of different levels of information. It would have to be more specific around the report for me to really answer that question.
Okay. There's another one, an anonymous attendee, all starting with their address. Wait, we have a numerous clients that have several projects, all starting with their address. Is there a plan to extend the search project area to bigger to see the whole project name? Very
This
cool.
is, I mean, This is great feedback. I think when a lot of these questions are coming through, maybe, there's like, is there a plan for, is there
Mhm.
an opportunity for? Answer is always yes. Like we would love to do everything. I think the question is, hey, is it prioritized amongst a wide range of our customer base? Is it valuable to you, the user? And as we look at those things, we look to do things as fast as possible. So all of this is, I think that's another great feedback item, and we'll make sure that's included in our upcoming roadmap. And then based off of hey the demand and the ability to deliver this quickly, we will release that function.
And I'll add to that at the end of the session, a survey will pop up for you guys. And if you have to jump off early, there will be a survey going out tomorrow. So anything that you want to see or you want to add or comment, please use the survey for the opportunity for us to see that. That's another great way of, especially after this session, to let us know what you want to see and other questions if we don't answer them all. But that's it. That's all popped in there. I think we hit on everything that was in the chat. Um, but it looks like everyone's very excited about the reporting.
Awesome. Well, we're excited too.
For general questions, for you know, those of customers that might be coming on in the future or now, if they're coming from a spreadsheet, what would you say would be the biggest win for them coming from a spreadsheet to a platform like Rezio?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when I look at a spreadsheet and I hear folks are using spreadsheets, I'm like a spreadsheet, person myself. I have made like very advanced Excel models. I consider myself someone who, knows the ins and outs of spreadsheets and loves to maximize the value there. What happens with a spreadsheet is your information as the project goes on becomes disconnected with other parts of your process. So, for example, within Rezio, hey, we're going to have a spreadsheet like estimating function. It's going to be familiar, it's going to be similar to Excel. But what's going to happen next is that your team is going to want a scope of work, or your vendors or your trades. That automatically flowed into the specifications page, which was automatically given access to those particular set of users. If I were to do that in spreadsheets, I would have to take that information, put it into a PDF, put it into an email, and send it out to a bunch of targeted users. Same kind of thing with selections or change orders. I can make an update in my estimate or in a selection in Rezio today, and I can be assured that that automatically updates the budget and automatically updates the scope of work for everyone involved. If I were to do that in a spreadsheet function, very be easy to make a fat finger error. I'd have to go manually change each individual line. I'd have to make sure that's up to date. And then I'd have no idea if the rest of the information that is being shared out to all other parties, my client, my trade, my team, is all up to date as well. So it's chasing the dream a bit in terms of a very manual process that requires several steps along the way to keep information up to date in a spreadsheet.
Awesome. One just popped in, and what about Digs software? Someone asked about Digs.
Yeah, Diggs actually, we have an open conversation with. They're on our integrations list for 2026 as a target partner, and they're definitely someone we want to be working with.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaiah, for reminding me. He asked me that earlier and then asked again. Um, all right. So maybe we'll take one or two more questions. And then because we're coming to the top of the hour, so I want to make sure we give you guys some time back. Um, Going back to balancing the solution and innovation with Rezio, how are you going to continue to keep it easy for people that come from spreadsheets? What is like your balancing act?
Yeah, I think Maria, let's go past this one. I think this is one we already
Okay.
covered to an extent.
Awesome. If you were going to give, your elevator pitch for the top three reasons to use Rezio, what are your top three?
That's a great question. There's so many. Like I think about what we hear a lot from our prospects and the folks coming to Rezio, and the things that they're asking for and things that they care about. I think about it like this, in terms of efficiency, being able to do the work that they want to do faster, in terms of experience, being able to deliver better client experience or end user experience to folks involved in the project. And then finally, peace of mind, being able to sleep at night knowing all my information is in one place, and everything is tracked, stored. And when that client has memory loss in 3 months around what selection they picked, um, we'll still have that information documented.
Perfect. And let's make this our last question. And I don't see anything else that just came through. What feature are you most looking forward to rolling out in the future?
Yeah, in terms of feature I'm most excited about, I think obviously we've talked a lot about reporting. I think that'll be incredibly useful. But I'm really excited to see what these AI-driven automated workflows look like for you guys. I know that in sequence, you'll see, hey, feature one, two, three, and you'll go through an order when we look at some of your user logs and execute things in a sequence of events. And we'd love to be able to automate that workflow to where you only have to do the first thing, the second, the third, the fourth thing we can help you do for you. That would take a lot of time out of your workflows in Resio and make things more efficient.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please fill out the survey. We would love to hear your feedback. I know some of you reached out to me about the recording. I will make sure that we get that to you. And then, Mitch, is there anything else we need to cover or?
No, look, I just want to thank you all again for all your feedback. For those that we didn't feel like your question got answered, we'll make sure to look at it, send follow-up information. If you don't hear from us, we'll also pass on your question to the customer success coach. So we are matching names to questions, and we're making sure that you get answers around the information that you're looking for. So don't feel like, hey, if we didn't answer every question, there are about 29 of them that we didn't we won't be getting to it or we won't be listening. Everyone's input here is very important. And if you suggested a product update or a tweak to a product, we appreciate that. That input is incredibly valuable and helps us, in terms of prioritizing the update that you guys need. So thank you so much for all the input and all the engagement. It is incredibly beneficial for us and for you. And we really look forward to partnering with all of you here in 2026 and hopefully see you all at IBS.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.